Any other use of this telecast, or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without Cactus Media X or Arizona Cactus Football League's consent is prohibited.
Welcome back. It's me, your host, the Commissioner Matt Archer, with my buddy James Franchise Bush. We're here, man. We did it.
Man, that we did.
We did.
That we did.
We did. We got
Feels
it.
weird being in here again. Like, I feel
So
like I
quick.
just saw you, like,
It's almost like,
I did.
yeah, back to back, 3 days in a row.
Facts.
It's like we're actually work together.
Exactly. You would think, right? Like, man, that's crazy. But, yeah, man.
I'm just kind of still a little in awe of last night, to be honest with you, man.
It was a hell of a night last night.
It really just, yeah. I don't know. I guess we can get into it here.
Oh, it was a great night. I mean, one thing I'll say, I haven't seen, like, obviously with us not having a championship game last year because of COVID, right?
Yep.
You know, that championship atmosphere last night was, you could feel it in the air.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, outside when I wasn't choking on the smoke.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were bringing a full-on smoking barbecue to the game.
Yeah, I didn't know we had a smoke pit out there. But needless to say, I mean, that just the overall environment, you could feel the buzz, you could feel the, like.
Once the game started going, yes. But I definitely, when we were getting started, doing like the team introductions, there's like 10 people in the stands. I was like.
Well, yeah, we figure it was hot.
That, and I was going to get in Raph's behind because he wanted a live stream so bad, and I was like, nobody's going to come to the game if we do that.
No, people
appreciate the guys
up.
making the drive, and all the fans that came out, all the players that came and checked us out. I did notice there were some other leagues there too, so that was kind of interesting to see those guys come and see what they got to try to do to. We'll get into that in a little bit, but
I mean, you figure it. You can take a look at some of the stuff. Obviously, like we talked about, I made a post last night, and kind of talked about it. Like, we're by no means perfect, right? There's a lot of stuff, and we'll kind of talk through some of that. Obviously, like you talked about, we'll talk through some of that today. But obviously, with a couple of different leagues looking to start up, you've got a league that's already still currently going. Obviously had their championship the night before. You've got different things like that where potentially, can see what you can potentially come up with, right? So, the support definitely is, appreciated. Obviously, they came out and, I wish them luck with everything. Obviously, they do with that too. So. We'll kind of get there, but man, I'm still kind of in awe. That's the one thing I know. I was jokingly, but I'm somewhat joking, but I wasn't. I don't know. I posted a picture about potentially playing again, and had multiple teams hit me up. You've been in my inbox and the whole 9 yards. But the reason I miss it is that environment from last night.
Yeah.
So that the vibe was just
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Real quick, so obviously you see the new banner, Commiss's Corner. So I think now that our season's officially over, we are going to transition into doing kind of an update show. I think every couple of weeks or so, something like that.
Yeah, kind of keep it going. I mean, obviously we won't have it every week.
Yeah, we can. I mean, we could predict NFL stuff and things like that, but I think it'd be cool to keep the tradition, as I like to call it, going. We get everybody updates on what's happening from month to month or every other week or so. I know there's going to be a lot of stuff happening once we come back off our break. So we will officially dub this the Commiss's Corner moving forward through the off season, into the preseason. Then we start the season, we'll go back to Commiss's picks.
I like that. You came up with that by yourself?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not the originator of that. I'm not the originator of the Cactus Football League either.
I know you're not.
So obviously the business model, yes, and me and Raph, but the actual name was not me.
Yeah.
But so I'm excited. Obviously we're
somewhat petty Sunday. I had to a little bit.
No, we're gonna be petty as hell. We're just not got there
a little
yet.
bit, just a little bit.
So
I'm starting early. I've been.
You already hitting the sauce?
Oh yeah.
I heard somebody else was hitting the sauce too.
It's been a whole bunch.
All day last night.
It's been a whole bunch, but
I can't wait till tonight when I get home. I'm deleting my Facebook account.
Man,
I know
we'll get into that too.
Cool. So back to the recap of yesterday. Leading into the game, man, what crazy! Like it was hot. Couldn't get the golf carts.
Golf carts not working.
Trying to get the field water to figure it out.
If it wasn't one thing, it was another.
Yep.
Trying to get the.
And the one thing I was stressed out about went smoothly. Lamont Chambers, right? That's our
Lamont.
how do we say his name?
Lamont. Yeah.
Lamont. shout out to that guy. I don't know if he's watching, but man, he did a hell of a job last night. I know it took a few minutes to get going, but once he started going, man, the fans really, they were, especially towards the end of the game, he was getting really into it. So I think the fans were, at least the rumors,
Hey, I've gotten a lot of I had a few people hit me back and basically say they enjoyed it, because they're obviously that's one thing that we've talked about moving into next season. That's one of the things that's on the list. Obviously, is having a announcer at all the games, not just for the live stream, but potentially having an announcer out there at all the games, calling the game. That'll kind of move into what we talked about, having the numbers with the roster, because it doesn't have, you can have a guy out there, but if he doesn't know who they are, if the numbers aren't on the rosters, things like that, there's only so much he can do unless he knows certain players. But to know 900 and something people.
And then, of course, he's calling the same person at play after play after
Correct.
play. So
but that's one thing that I know that's something that he's passionate about doing. So I know that he messaged me today and wanted to say thank you to you, for the opportunity, obviously, and to kind of go from there. And
I think we get into some announcements in a little bit. People will be excited.
It'd definitely be fun. But I think that was, because obviously we could have just not had an announcer too.
Yeah.
We almost didn't. Hell,
we almost didn't. I know Brian's probably watching, but he was on vacation.
Yeah.
He had a business / vacation trip to Florida this weekend, so he was
I
pretty
don't blame
bummed.
him. I would have, as much as I love these guys, and like to be out there.
Yeah.
Might have been in Florida living it up.
It's his wife. It's his wife's business, and he helps her run it. So
Hey.
he had no choice but to,
he
had to make the trip.
Who knows?
But no, it was besides being hot, things just kept moving, and then when the lights wouldn't come on, that was I was losing my shit.
All I thought about with that, obviously we think about a football game, but all I could think about with that was the Super Bowl with the I believe that was the Ravens and the 49ers, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was both the Harbaughs and the lights go off.
Stadium went
or
black.
like the NBA, where I think that's happened a couple times in the NBA, and luckily we got it worked out. It could have been worse. We could have not got the lights on.
Yeah,
could have been even worse. And hey guys, we got to come back on Sunday and play the second half and figure it out.
Second half at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
And that was the thing that was getting me under my skin, as the players are yelling at me like, I had nothing to do with that. That's all automated. It's done through a phone app that somebody apparently was supposed to come on at sunset, but I don't know which sunset it was set to. But as soon as it,
wasn't that sunset. We'll just say that. I'll be petty a little bit, but
it wasn't Arizona.
It wasn't Arizona sunset, I guess, right? Because obviously we saw that didn't work out. But regardless, I think overall the night, obviously we'll kind of talk through some of the stuff. I think the live stream piece, we'll get to that.
We got the hot spot, and it just I think what it is there's no cell towers close enough to the stadium, and then obviously with it being such a high quality input, we did the best we could. I know that we did record the second half, and that I think that got pushed on CMX, and so that should be out. So if anybody wants to go back and watch that, we'll get into that towards the end of the show, like what we're doing, what our main focuses are on the off season. But for the championship recap,
overall, I think it was a good night, though.
Yeah, awards went smooth. Much love to Coach Love.
Yep.
Just pulling his team and getting that award, and it's a little emotional for me too, because like I said in the announcement, without him, he's one of the few key people in the very beginning stages that helped the league kind of give me the motivation to want to take that step down.
That next step, yeah.
So without him, really, I wouldn't say we wouldn't have the league, but I don't think we would have started it as quickly. We might be doing our first year today.
Got the ball rolling and whatnot. I know he's been around the game as a player and obviously as a coach and influential there. So
great mentor to a lot of people.
Shout out to him obviously for the coach of the year. He definitely earned that.
The phone's over.
And shout out obviously to the rest of the guys. Jake Reed with the MVP.
Yeah.
Dre with the.
It's so funny story. Dre's like, I don't have to make a speech, do I? Oh yeah. Here. Oh no, I don't want. He didn't want nothing to do with that. It's kind of funny, someone that likes to chirp a lot on social media.
It's a little bit different when you got to get out there and you got to talk in front of all those people. Yeah, and you're like, But obviously, shout out to Dre, and then obviously Fluke with the. With the defensive player of the year.
Yeah. I thought the awards looked really nice too.
They did. So funny part, everybody. From what I heard with that, everybody loved the awards.
Yeah.
And actually to get to see them, I saw them through looking at them, on the design that we got and everything. But, I think they looked really, really good.
Yeah.
I know one thing that we didn't do yesterday. I know we can, we're going to talk about the championship game recap. But I don't think, and that we might have. If we did, I apologize. Did we do a championship game MVP?
We had the shirt made, but
I know we had the shirt
think
made, but there was so much going on.
There was so much going on, and the team was just, I don't think anybody really cared in the moment until it was kind of said and done, and then it was like,
wait, who was the MVP, right?
Yeah.
Looking at that game, if you had to pick an MVP, I know obviously we didn't do an official MVP right there at the game, but who do you think at that game you would have had as your MVP?
Who made the interception on the Rebels?
Dylan Alderman.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the one at the end of the game?
The end of the game. That would be my MVP, because without that interception, call me biased, but I think the Spartans were scoring.
Well, no. So I mean, even without but so the one thing I'll say, I mean, the interception added. The interception added to it. I mean, that in essence ended the game. But the game was over. So that play, even if he bats that ball down, it's still the turnover on downs. That was a fourth down play. That was a fourth down play. I mean, they made a hell of a play on that. I mean, obviously the ball got tipped up. I don't recall who tipped the pass, but I want to say it was the D tackle that tipped the pass. Got hands up, tipped the pass. Great job scouting on that too. If you look, and we'll kind of go back and talk through that, but one of the things that the Spartans were doing on those short yardage plays were slants. Mm-hmm. They were running the slants. They were making plays here and there, and as a defensive lineman, if I'm correct, if it was a lineman, shout out to whoever it was that made that play, but they got the hands up, got the tip.
Yeah.
Dylan makes that play, and then obviously you see it on film. I know there was a lot of complaining about the penalty, but it's clearly on film where there's a huge block in the back that takes place. That was way away from the ball, but it happened. So obviously, I mean, it brought the touchdown back. But yeah, Dylan made a hell of a play there. And what's funny is he's been doing that all season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk on the defensive MVP and different things like that. Dylan could have been in that talk potentially, obviously, for the overall MVP as well, I think, personally.
Yeah. I definitely would probably give him the Rookie of the Year, because this is his first year playing semi-pro, if I understood right.
Well, he played with the Owls, I believe, last season, but it was only partial. Him and his brother played with the Owls, and then I believe, partially through the season, I want to say they went over to the Rebels.
Okay.
But I know they were with the Owls at one point. This was his first full season, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I've been around him playing flag with him and whatnot for years, and, obviously always been an athlete. But I think I agree with you. I think I'm either going with him, or if I'm going as a whole, or I'm potentially taking the Rebels' defense as a whole.
Yeah, their defense was
because he stood out, but overall that defense played lights out. I mean, we can kind of get into
it took Aaron all game to get it figured out. I'll be very open. I didn't get to watch much of the game. I was very disappointed in an aspect that I just wanted to sit and watch the game. But there was so many moving parts going on throughout the facility that every time I turned around, I was either putting out a fire, yelling at you guys, just trying to keep things going.
Moving smoothly, yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely next year, I will be just watching the game. That's some of the stuff we'll talk about here in the announcements. But,
so they actually said, it was, they mentioned Kevin Newell with the block pass, so 44. I know it was somebody that was down there in the trenches that made that play.
I think is his Facebook or Instagram page. Yep.
But made a hell of a play, obviously, with that, and then Dylan finishing it off with the interception. So
no, I mean, shout out to their defense. Their O-line played a great game too.
They did.
I think they did their jobs. But other than that, I think that's pretty much the game, man.
I mean, the defense in essence, they saved them. Obviously, I mean. Potential controversial call. I know I saw a comment on here, and I would obviously it took place for me on the opposite side. I know where the Spartans, where they end up getting down to the other side of the field there on a catch. There was a controversial call obviously with that catch that a lot of people said he was out of bounds. It is what it is. Obviously the call got made. He ended up making the catch, no catch, whatever. I mean that the call they made on the field was a catch.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, the defense stepped up and played really, really well. I believe they are as it's kind of been all season, they're the reason that they won that game, in all seriousness.
We're not even have to joke around. They are the reason they've won all the games, the defense.
Yeah, they played well all season. So obviously shout out to them. I think the one thing for me is a little bit of a controversial call. I saw it on Red Zone and was interested to see how the Spartans handled that. Mm-hmm. So one thing for me was looking at quarterback play.
Okay.
You think about obviously Trey came back.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of talked about it a little bit on the show on Friday.
Yes.
But Trey came back and started the game. And they couldn't really get anything going. And I think that kind of, to me, is an interesting decision. You look at Scotty. Obviously, Scotty came in, and that's where the offense kind of started taking off. They started making plays, doing different things. But, nothing to take away from Trey by any means. Great athlete. But he wasn't there most of the season. The reason they were in the championship was because of Scotty. Obviously, the defense played a huge part in that as well. But on the offensive side of the ball, Scotty playing quarterback, it just – I get a natural position running back. Obviously, we talked on the show when him and we were here. Mm-hmm. He does have a background in playing quarterback at one point.
Yeah.
But just I kind of look back and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you make that decision. Aaron, obviously talked about it on. I saw him make a comment on Red Zone. He made a decision. He stuck with it. He stood by his decision. Don't fault him for that. Thinking about it, I don't know. I mean, do I go with the guy? I kind of look back to. You think about in the NFL, that's happened sometimes. You got guys that get hurt. Let's just say, like, one that comes to mind for me is Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers comes in, takes over for him, and, never gets the job back. Yeah. And there's other guys that have done that too. But I don't know, man. Obviously, it's done now. It is what it is. But
I did get to watch, like, a little part of the very beginning, and for me, it just looked like Trey was uncomfortable. And it's not even a stressful city. I mean, he won a ring with the Rebels, so he's a champ.
Well, he can play.
Yeah, he's a champ. He can perform under pressure. I think it was more mental for him, not practicing for all season. Yeah, like you said, just it coming in this late in the game, and the chemistry is still kind of trying to get worked out. The one thing, though, that I will give both of those guys utmost respect and credit for is handling it well. I don't think I ever heard Scotty bitching about not starting, and then when he came in the game, he did his job, and I don't think Trey was complaining about coming out of the game. Does that make sense? Like, they both, I think, understood the situation and both just accepted this switch and rolled forward.
I see some of the Spartans guys are on here, and they made a comment, and I get it. Anthony said, when they played the Rebels the last time, Scotty and Key both ran for a lot of yards against the Rebels, so they were trying to use that in the ground game, which is understandable. That's kind of where I was going to get to, is you have Trey. Obviously, Scotty can go back to play the natural position he's been playing all. Mm-hmm. Well, he wanted to play obviously with running back, but kind of like we've talked about, he's selfless in that manner of he did what the team asked him to do. But then Aaron mentioned that Scotty started versus the Thunder, and he pulled him and put Trey in, and then he helped him win that game before he got hurt, which isn't wrong either, I don't think, but just one thing I think, like I said, I don't know. Me personally, I'm not the coach, And like Aaron said, I respect the fact that he stood behind what he decided to do, and he did adjust too. He adjusted throughout the game, and that's when it got going.
I was going to say I reached out to him this morning, and I could tell he was still.
Oh, that's you figure we're less than 24 hours.
That was the first sentence. It's my fault. I'm like, and that's not your fault. I said the offense wasn't executing. The defense let them score points. Like, you know what I mean? It's not.
Well, there's more than just one thing but obviously one thing you think about it. Like I said, I respect the fact that he made the decision. There was no excuses being made.
Yeah. On the flip side, you can't be a Rebel and say I'm the reason they won. No, the whole team is the reason you won. That's why you have a ring, not because of you. It's because of the collective group. So I've never. The original Spartans, they know the speech. That's why I love football. It's a team sport. Yeah. There's not one person that can carry a team, play all the positions. People learn that in practice real quick. Yeah. So, Chips, like I said on Friday, it's a torn game for me. I said it last night. Obviously I want the Rebels to win and not tarnish their undefeated season and just kind of that miracle of the off the field stuff going on with certain people and stuff like that. And overall, it was a great game, man.
Yeah, I was kind of, like I said, at the beginning of the game, it was one where you thought the Rebels were going to take off with it at one point.
When it was that's 10-0 what it looked going into halftime, I was like, this shit's go. I'm done. Let's just start packing it up, and let's just give them the trophy and move on.
I mean, that's kind of what we looked at the week before that. The week before that with the Lions-Spartans game, I mean, you didn't know what to do. You didn't know what kind of game you were going to get. What didn't look great at first. Obviously, the Rebels came out, jumped on them, and, went to going. And
I had a stupid moment. So at the end of the game, when I think it was less than 2 minutes, and I remember thinking, okay, I got to get the trophy ready. I get up there. I think the Spartans got the ball back. And my retarded ass opens the door and says, hey, there's no chance the Spartans can win, right? Like, mathematically, they can't get the ball back in enough time because I don't want to start putting the Rebels stickers on the trophy.
Yeah.
And then that somehow they're like, no, they're good. So I started doing it, and then, of course, the clock ran out. But I had that blonde moment, like, wait a minute.
Well, one thing that was interesting, too, I mean, it was interesting because when you think about, we talk about it sometimes, too, but the use of timeouts, where you use timeouts in certain things. I know one thing that was interesting to me, and obviously, I mean, you could go back, and I'm curious if they would go back and do it different now. But the fourth down play, they took a timeout, and that left them with one timeout left, the Spartans.
Yeah.
If they don't take that, they have 2 timeouts left with, I want to say it was like a minute and 26 or something like that, minute and 16, whatever the time was. Obviously, if they have 2 timeouts rather than 1, that forces the Rebels to run a play rather than taking these. Obviously, I get you take the timeout so you can talk about your play because you don't plan on giving the Rebels the ball back.
Correct.
You plan on going down and scoring, and however much time might be left, obviously you leave them with potentially little to no time. So I understand the thought process, but obviously if you could go back, you'd want that second timeout. And I don't know where they called their other timeout, either earlier in the half or what, I don't recall, but regardless, the use of timeouts ended up hurting them at that point because obviously you can't. I mean, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But I know another thing that I think about too, and I saw it mentioned here, but special teams. I talked about special teams, with Tui and Scotty here, and shout out to the Rebels kicker, number 27.
Yep.
And I don't want to say the name wrong, but I believe it's Steven or Stefan Spino. Or Spino. I apologize if I said the name wrong, so definitely apologize for that. But shout out to him. He comes in and makes that kick, and that's really is the difference in the game. With a 10-8 game, if they don't make that kick,
cool. Yeah,
it's an 8-7 game.
Yep.
So that's a lot of people harp on the special teams game and don't really think that it matters. This is a perfect example of why special teams, why you would think you want someone that can do that.
And that particular kid, man, like I kind of compared him to Cody Barber. Like if you watch him kick, it's the same motions, same mechanics, right down the center. The only time I think in the past, if he did have a muffed kick, it was because of the snap or something. But him...
Oh, he's been pretty automatic. I mean, even, like I said, from a kickoff perspective.
So wherever they picked him up and how much they're paying him, I hope he stays with them. If not... These other teams, you better pull out that checkbook.
Well, that's one thing, like I said, a lot of people don't think too much about a kicker. You think about, you just come, you kick the ball, whatever. Because part of the problem is, too, you can have a kicker and not be able to block either. That's one of the things that's
problem.
Or you don't have somebody that can long snap to get the kick there. So there's more things that come to it, and obviously in the NFL, these guys, that's what they're paid to do. Obviously, these guys here, I hate to say it, but they get, even in the NFL, they get laughed at times. But the kicker is one of the most important pieces there, too, because if the offense stalls out or whatever, and you have somebody that can come in and, make that kick, and like I said, without that kick, it's 8-7.
Yeah. Well, I think I was talking to the end zone just a little bit about that, and it was like they can get that ball within the 40-yard line, that they'll kick the field goal. They don't need to score a touchdown. They can get it close enough to where he can kick it and they put more points on the point.
Hey, like I said, I think it's a huge key. But obviously overall with that, the Spartans had a chance to win it. They just couldn't pull it off. The Rebels defense came up huge. And
I said something to one of the players in the parking lot. He was thanking me for the season. I said, hey, it took the Stampede 2 losses before they beat us to get their first string.
Yeah.
Hey, this is your second loss. Hopefully in the next year or two, you guys are back here and you're winning. Correct me if I've only been on semi-pro 5 seasons, 6 years now. I don't think there's been a team that's won a championship their first time in. Because I think when Ed won it, they had already had some rings.
Not in what you would consider, like, I guess in essence, like the big boy league. So from the GFL to the CFL, I don't know too much on the history of the AZFL, but I know that like when I first came in playing my first year, We played in the SDFL at one point, which is obviously now the DFL, but obviously like a portion of that. But we won a championship our first year. But like I said, going back and looking at that, that first year, 2011, coming in with the Ravens. But I'll be honest with you. Like I said, when you think about the big leagues, so like I said, the obviously the AZCFL or the GFL, some of these guys have been playing longer. They might be able to, kind of go into depth on more on that. But I don't think a first-year team in the big leagues has come up to
not necessarily
win
a
a
first-year
championship.
team, but their first time at the ship. Like this.
Well, I mean, regardless, whether it's first-year team or like something like that. I mean, like I said, some of you guys, if you want to chime in on that, feel free to. I've only been around since 2011. Andy said he thinks the Monsoon did in the AZFL in 2012. Yes, like I said, I'm not sure on that. So we can come back to that, but. Overall, man, good championship game. That's what we want. You never want to see a blowout in one of those games.
Yeah.
I would rather see it come down to, like we saw, the end of the game, with somebody have a chance to win, and obviously who steps up and who in essence wants it more. So, shout out once again to the Rebels on that. Congrats on the 13-0 season.
Yep. I hope y'all get that on the ring. Send me the order form so I can get one for the display case.
And obviously we can go from there. So.
Cool.
But yeah, congrats obviously to both teams. I mean,
for making it that far. I know the Spartans nobody thought they were going to make it. I mean, they were winning games, but obviously with the quarterbacks and just their diversity and then stuff, same thing with Rebels. So congrats, guys. I look forward to the off season. Doing some stuff with the.
What I'm interested to see, man, I can't wait to see what these teams look like. Hell, even after today. Like, it's been nuts. I've been on Red Zone a little bit. I was working earlier, and it's been.
Are we transitioning into our next segment?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Sure
it
are.
is Sunday.
Petty Sunday,
Petty
sir.
Sunday. I'll let you.
I don't know how petty I'm going to be, though.
That's fine. I'll talk shit or whatever we want to talk about. I'm not in there, so wasn't even on Facebook today. I don't know anything that's going on.
Well, no, it's more so. A lot of it is just people talking about the championship and different things. Like I said, I'm not gonna be overly petty. I wanted to be really, really petty, which I may be a little bit petty, but one thing that's interesting to me, and it's like that all the time. Is teams somewhat falling apart. You've got internal conflicts that sometimes it gets blasted on Red Zone, middle of the season. Sometimes it's kept internal.
Yeah.
Sometimes, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in these leagues.
Well, leagues and team. That's why I'm so against just us as an executive group and the leadership and the owners being on there, because a lot of stuff we talk about is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
So without being from the very beginning to the very end of the conversation, it's like CNN and MSNBC. You can take segments of the conversation.
Well, it's almost like the game telephone.
Yeah, you can spin it into whatever you want it to be, but you didn't hear the whole paragraph or the whole meeting. You took the 3 sentences where the Commiss said you're going to be fine, but you didn't hear the whole, I've warned you 20 million times, and I've, all the build up to.
It's just that you take what you want.
He's going to find me. Like,
yeah, no, you take what you want from it. But what I'm interested to see is how these teams, like what some of these teams look like next season. Obviously we'll talk about it.
I think it's funny when they start putting I'm retired.
I mean,
like, get out of here with that bullshit. Like, you say that every year, and it's 5 years now. We're still seeing you.
I mean, hey, we'll see. Like I said, the one.
Officially, I'm not letting Martin 2 into the season next year. Because he officially, I'm retired. I'm a flag player. Okay, I'm holding him to it.
Martin 2,
you're done, bro. Well, the next time I see you in a jersey will be at the Hall of Fame, the minor league Hall of Fame.
The minor league Hall of Fame, huh? After 2 full seasons.
Yeah, don't say you're retiring and then because the commission just
can't take it back, huh?
You can't take it back.
But no, I'm just interested to see what some of these teams look like. Obviously as we move forward, and that's not even to say that all these teams will be back.
We'll get into that. We'll roll into the next sentence. I know there's, like you said, the team's falling apart. I do know there's some new leagues starting up.
Yeah.
And I know
that there is.
Regardless of my personal feelings about the DFL, and how their season ended and things going on. Like I said, I don't know the whole story. I'm only seeing what's
we get
what's
bits
fed
and
to
pieces,
us, so
and
I won't make any assumptions. But I do know that some of the executive team did get released or moved on or whatever the situation was, and they're starting their new league this next year. So, congrats to Nigel and his his endeavors with the Arizona Alliance, I think is the name of it. He was at the game last night. I talked to him for a few minutes. The thing I'll be petty about is when you go from running that league to now owning your own league, it can't be the same.
I mean,
there's a lot of pressure when I went from the GFL telling Tim what he should have did to now owning the CFL. Like, that was me, right? Like, dude, we can't tell him we're going to do this and we not do it.
Mm-hmm. Accountability.
And I make that disclaimer. It didn't happen in the time frame I wanted it to, but we're pushing forward. And we'll get into some of those announcements here in a minute, which is the next evolution of the league. But I wish him the best, and I think the working relationship between the leagues is going to be a lot better this time. I don't know what, there's a lot of he said, she said 4 years ago with us. So having that open communication with Nigel and them, I think is going to be a little better. And I think it's going to give an opportunity for some of our teams that don't make it into our league a chance to continue to keep growing and not have to settle, per se.
Yeah, well, continue their seasons because, like we said, it's going to be exclusive as to who gets in.
Yeah, and the one thing...
It is what it is.
To him, I'm going to get petty on this SAFL league that's Southern Arizona.
Oh, the 37 Tucson teams?
Y'all can't even fill 2 teams out of Tucson. You're telling me you got 5 or 6 now? Get the hell out of here.
Well, you have 5 or 6 Tucson teams. You have Sierra Vista. You've got Douglas. I've got a ton of requests on Instagram for all these teams that are in the SAFL. Hey, at the end of the day, if it works out, great. It's another avenue, obviously, for more. The more talent, the better you can do. Like I said, that's my one thing. And
the thing that frustrates me is, we don't want to drive to Phoenix, dude. Your whole city was shut down. Hey, you want to play? You drive to Phoenix, or you don't play.
It is what it is, and it ain't what it ain't.
You think we're not gonna have Tucson games this next year? I mean, I'm gonna get into those announcements, and they're gonna be pissed when they find out that they should have just waited an extra couple weeks.
Well, somebody, and I think they're down there. I believe Marwin played for one of the teams down there in Tucson. I'm not sure which team. I want to say the Thunder. I apologize if I'm wrong, but I hope that it works out. Like I said, one thing that we talk about the evolution. We talk about the evolution of the state of Arizona with football and the semi-pro and stuff like that. And obviously, the better product, not even just from us. I mean, we know what we're going to put out. We know the things we're working on. I wish these leagues the best of luck. One thing that a lot of these people don't understand is it's not just as simple as just saying I'm going to start a league. There's a lot that goes into it, and obviously, I hope that these guys, not super. I know Nigel, but obviously, I'm not I'm not buddy with Nigel to the point where I understand the business and what they're doing.
In Nigel's defense, his hands were tied on a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you figure,
he'd make a decision, he'd get overridden. At some point.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
You play the hands that you play the cards you're dealt, I guess is the the old saying.
That was my statement. If he's gonna do this, he's got to make sure he doesn't just do the same. He's got to follow through with that. And being held accountable by your owners, that's one thing I've had to learn to kind of be humble about.
Yeah.
Because we did this with them, but at the same time, there's got to be somebody in charge. There's always somebody at the top. It doesn't matter how.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is.
What
it's going to be
your job, your family, the government. There's always somebody at the top, right? And that's a heavy crown that we wear.
Hey, I said, at the end of the day, we'll see.
But I'm only being petty on the Tucson thing because I just don't feel that it's going to be worth any. I mean, I think we'll see how it plays out. But my bets, they don't even get started.
I mean, like I said, it sounds great in theory. I like the concept. Obviously you want something that's more central down there to you. You don't want to drive 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on where you're coming from. Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't disagree with it. I get that mindset. The tough part that I have something there. We only fielded 2 teams. Technically, if you think about it, from what I know, there's 3 teams in Tucson.
Yep.
You have the Demons, you have the Thunder, and you have the Soul Patrol. And obviously I could be wrong on that. If there's another Tucson team or, another team down in that area, feel free to let me know. But the Demons could only field, and obviously that goes back to maybe it's a traveling thing, but the Demons only could field, they had 25, obviously 30 or whatever, but they finished with 18 or whatever.
That was a home game too.
Well, that was a home game. So that's one thing. The Thunder have always had a strong showing in terms of in terms of players.
Mm-hmm.
They always field a good roster, competitive roster. I don't know too much about the Soul Patrol, but I just don't think I don't want to say there's not enough talent in Tucson and the surrounding areas. I just feel like if there was, these teams would be stacked.
Yep.
I don't feel like it's going to be, and Marwin, you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't think it's going to be competitive to the point where you can't field teams to put up here. And now there's all of a sudden, like I said, like I've literally had like 8 or 9 requests from teams that say they're in the SAFL, which is great. Obviously now I need to see action and see it put together. Yeah. I wish them luck in that. Obviously I don't want to down talk it because I hope it potentially works out because that'll add more things that can be done. There's more attention to things. Obviously, same thing with the what is it, the AAL, the Alliance or AFL,
Arizona Alliance.
Yeah. So Arizona Alliance, league, and obviously I don't know. We'll see if the DFL comes back. I haven't heard much from that. It's been kind of quiet there. Obviously, I know they had a championship game. Shout out to the Vengeance obviously for winning the the championship, finishing undefeated. Over there as well.
So, Petty Sunday, I got a message said, "Hey, I didn't know your commercial was running on the other league's page." I was kind of, what? Whoever did the production, appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate the the promotion.
Thank
you so much.
What's that, the backhanded compliment or whatever you want to call it?
Hey, we'll take it. Hey, no publicity is, bad publicity. We'll take it.
That's what Raph said. Any publicity. Me, I don't quite think that way, but hey, whatever.
Obviously, shout out, obviously to those leagues. If I hope it works out. I mean, like I said, I think they're going to get some of these leagues will get a boost because, we'll kind of step into the one of the other bullet points. But, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that.
I think
what
the
else
last part on Petty Sunday, man, is this is a disclaimer to some of the players. You guys got to be careful what you put on social media, man.
Not wrong.
I'm not in certain groups and chats, but I do get, like I said, I tell these guys, all love to snitch on each other, so I get screenshots all the time. And some of the stuff, some of you guys are reckless, and it's not gonna be a shock when you can't get picked up on a team next year because of some of the stuff we're gonna implement, because you just can't control yourself. So I hope you take the summer to chill out, turn over a new leaf, But if you're trying to go pro, trying to go to college, it's one of the first things they look at. There's a lot of guys in our league that are coaches in that Holcomb league. That's why they won't talk to most of our players.
I know.
They refuse to because of the social media aspect. They can't be associated with that when it comes to that team or that league. And that's where we're headed.
Hey.
I'm all about the freedom of speech, but when you're just acting crazy and talking about things that have nothing, don't even involve you, you're just being trolling, whatever. I'm not trying to deal with that anymore. So take the week, enjoy your petties, your stuff and your internal conversations, and best of luck to you next year.
Hey,
like I said, I'm deleting my Facebook tomorrow, so
I've debated. I know
we've talked about this.
We'll get that to the end of the. I'll save that for the end of the show. Obviously, as we get there. One thing I do want to shout out, though, obviously not on a petty Sunday, but I made a post last night and put it in Red Zone, basically thanking obviously the players, the teams, the coaches, owners. Obviously from me. I wouldn't say fully, perhaps, on behalf of the league, but for myself, obviously, and just kind of thanking them for, overall a good season. It's appreciated. I know we got a lot of good feedback. We got a lot of feedback where, wasn't so good, which is completely fine. It's definitely appreciated. I know I've got a bunch of meetings once we start back up. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. But got a bunch of stuff and a bunch of things that we want to improve on, so we're going to continue to take obviously the feedback, things like that. And shout out to you guys for obviously seeing the vision. I think a lot of you guys are hopefully starting to see the vision,
and I think the appreciation is the patience. Me, I move really quick personally when I do things, but it's hard when we got 1,000+ people we're trying to get moving, fans, facilities, staff, teams. It's a lot of moving parts, and I've had to learn over the last year and a half to really just take a step back. This is what I want to do, and just let it do its thing.
Kind of just let it play itself out. So
and not get such hard deadlines. Like be more realistic about the expectations.
But I just want to say shout out, like I said, fellas, we appreciate the. I saw some of you guys on Red Zone, shouting us out and whatnot, and it's definitely appreciated. Obviously, kind of like I've said to people at the end of the day, and you'll see, obviously, there's multiple leagues popping up, different things going on. You guys have an opportunity to go play other places if you want to. That's obviously, as a consumer, you have that option. We appreciate you guys obviously being here. Not everyone, as we kind of said, will be back next year. We'll touch more on that, here in the, in the next little segment that we're going to do. But at the end of the day, like I said, I just appreciate y'all. Was there hiccups throughout the road? Yes. Was there people bitching and moaning? Yes.
That's going to be every year.
That's no matter what. I mean, you have that in every aspect of everything. But overall, I just want to say thank you, fellas. That's, everybody that was
I have
involved.
one specific thank you before we move into league announcements. I want to thank Andrew Jones for stepping in this weekend to do the live stream. I know he came off a devastating loss the week before. Wasn't really sure if he wanted to even, I don't want to say be a part of anything, but he needed a few days to kind of
cool off a
regroup
little
himself.
bit. Regroup,
I can't tell you how much I appreciate him being the professional that he is. He took his Lions hat off and set it off to the side, and he was the CFL announcer last night. And you guys want somebody to follow and respect, and you want to see what I consider an ideal CFL player, that's him.
Yeah.
He knows when to turn it up. He knows when to get in the trenches and tear shit up, and he knows when to step back and just be a professional human being. So, Andrew Jones, if you're watching, I appreciate you, man. Look forward to next season. Hopefully you'll be back. Not sure what you're doing. I know like some of the team sitch going on right now. So, but hopefully we'll see him around the fields. If not, if he's not playing, he's definitely will be part of our staff. He's obviously doing our voiceovers for a lot of stuff, but appreciate him on the short notice. So, and coming off that.
That's another one. Somebody brought up a great point. So, they said they don't know if it was something just for that one game, but the refs were on point and actually had some of the non-working refs explaining the calls that were made to understand why it was called. So
that's part of.
We'll get down there to that. So I'm gonna bookmark that.
Yep, we acknowledge your comment.
I will come back to that here in just a little bit, but I'll come back. I just want to make sure that I bookmark that for myself so we can.
Perfect. It's our last bullet point on the next segment.
Talk about that.
League announcements. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks, dropping hints here and there, having our side conversations at the games. I've been feeding shit out to see who's actually going to run with it. Some of these guys took it way off course. Some of it take it to heart. So we're revamping the league from the top to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is it's not so much a new league or anything like of that nature. It's still a CFL. We're just coming at it a different angle now. Instead of it being a hobby, being adult Pop Warner, I'm moving this into a more of a professional, business-owned, ran type of business. You just made the comment about consumers. You guys are free to go where you want. Some people aren't going to want to get in line, and I'm okay with that.
100%.
I've accepted the fact that we might lose some big players because they just want to be selfish, and I'm okay with that. Me and Raph are definitely okay with that. We recognize the bigger picture of losing one or two people with the potential that we could route we're going to go. I'm willing to trim that fat and just cook the steak. You know what I mean? So, and it's starting from the top down. Myself,
Correct.
all the way down to the kid that picks up trash on after the games. We're looking at everything. There's some people stepping down, some people stepping away. I'm on that potential list. I don't know exactly where I fit into this business model that's going to be discussed in July, but I'll just get the one major person that I want to make sure that we recognize is Raph. He's been my brother since the first day I stepped on a Spartans practice. We owned the team together. Even the first year, he wasn't an official owner, but he was there from every step of the way. So Raph, he wants to pursue some other passions. He wants to get back to playing again. And, between him and I and yourself and a few other key people, it's the right move. So Raph officially is, as of today, I think, resigning as director of players. And he's going to go back to playing football next season. And then the positive of it, though, is he's going to be moving into managing some of our things we're going to talk about. That's why it's not so much he's done and he's out, but he needs to be able to focus on some other stuff and play football. So it was just too much for him. So, but without him and a few other key people, this would never have happened. He's my voice of reason. We don't always agree on stuff. We don't always like each other's opinions, but we respect each other, and it's a brother love that we know our end game is exactly the same as it's been from the first day we met. So with that in mind, congratulations, Raph, for being with me, the last 5 years. He's still going to be around. Don't get it wrong, people. He's not disappearing from the world. Just that opens up a position now. We have to find somebody to fill that role in this next season. So, and then I think Rob is trying to pursue a different avenue this year after this season. So I think he'll be stepping away from the
down
field
as
manager.
well.
He took the year off of coaching to kind of get his bearings back, and I appreciate that from him. It's been a huge asset for me. And then obviously we have some board member positions to fill year round. You might be Commiss Bush here, but
yeah, they don't want that.
maybe that's what we need.
I don't know. We'll see about that one.
I think we're going from like 14 employee positions to 35. I have currently listed out, and we're going to talk about why here in a second.
Yep.
But those positions will be announced in probably September, October time frame. We're going all the way from director of players to now facility, branding, media. The director of players will work with the player rep president. That's another thing we're going to implement. I know it kind of got started. Raph was working on it with you guys in that group, but we're going to have a true players association this next year. So that's what I meant by people aren't buying in. Yeah, it's cool. You can go on. But, yeah, it's a lot of my phone's blowing up over here.
No, I'm
Raph,
laughing because
sure
Andy
Raph's
puts
cussing
on
me
here.
out.
No, Andy put on. They're like, "Oh, Raph, we're gonna miss you." Andy puts on their R.I.P. Raph. Raph's like, "I didn't die." Like, damn it, Andy. Like, what? Sorry, go ahead.
That's why I wanted to make sure
he's
he's not disappearing. Like, he still owns his percentage of the league and is going to get his paycheck.
He's still here. Like,
that's the sweat equity he's put in for 3 years. He's going to continue to get that. But when it comes to being the face of the players and being on the board meetings and all that stuff, he's not going to really have much to do with that anymore.
So as of this moment, do not reach out to Raphael Lee on Facebook for any of your player needs or anything like that. He will delete your message.
Wait till July.
I promise you, he's going to delete your message. He may even block you.
Yeah, he's going to go from what, like 900 friends,
900 friends to 36 friends, real quick,
real fast.
Quick, fast.
Has he ever told you about his purging? Like every 6 months.
Oh, he does it every once in a while.
Yeah, he'll go through and just delete people.
Yeah, my cousin does it all the time. My cousin goes in and like he keeps it at under 300 friends. And so like he'll randomly somehow get, like he always says Facebook puts people on there because he doesn't really accept people. And he'll see like he's got like 315 and he goes and purges a bunch of people and then he's like back under 300.
Yep.
And it's hilarious, but
yeah.
Shout out though to Raph, man. Like I said, you've taught me a lot. I've definitely learned a lot from you. And we'll go from there.
It's a bitter, happy, sad, emotional for me because we have been literally hip and hip on a lot. I mean, pretty much everything up until today, and we'll still continue to discuss business moves. But when it comes to the day-to-day operations for the league, he's going to be focusing. And we're going to talk about one of the businesses here in a minute. But he wants to get back to playing, and we had that conversation this year. And I just told him I don't think it's the right move for you to be in all these positions. We need to kind of diversify a little bit. So
I agree. He
took time to figure out what he wanted to do, and I respect it and love him. And I'm excited to watch him play again next year. That's always fun to watch him play.
Yeah.
So yeah, new positions will be coming out. We'll be doing interviews for that stuff. I'm sure they're going to ask, is it paid? Yes, some positions are paid. Some are game day positions. Some are season positions. But we'll get into all that when we return back in July. I'll pause while you.
No, he said Zach Alviera said he's going to terrorize you on the field instead of helping you next year. He's going to be yelling at you in the booth and shit. Matt, what's going on? What the?
Yeah. No, Zach. I have him actually in a position. Hopefully he accepts it. We still got to sit down and talk.
Zach, I heard you were stepping away, and I heard you were retiring and coming to the league, weren't you? That's the
something.
Little birdie.
That's the rumor.
Never mind. We could talk about that. That's not. We'll get there.
You know what
it
is? We'll see how his article looks next week.
We'll see. We'll see what that looks like.
His future with the employment of the CFL depends on how his article.
We'll see. That kind of. We'll see what happens.
But
yeah,
and I think our next topic is new teams possibly coming in.
Yeah.
I think currently we have 26, 27 on the list of
26 teams are currently what we have booked at. 26 teams have either reached out about starting a team or coming over from another league or returning. Currently sitting at 26 teams. I can guarantee you we won't be at 26 teams.
I can guarantee you we won't be at 13.
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, like I said, we've talked about it. We'd like to have anywhere from 10 to 12 teams, maybe 14 at the most, and obviously 14's pushing it.
No, that's you and Raf's conversation.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not mine.
I don't know.
I want 8. So
I mean, obviously, yeah, but I know that we've kind of looked at 10 to 12 is kind of where we're looking at. So, guys, I'll just kind of go into detail a little bit on that. Just because you were in the league last year does not mean that you're guaranteed a spot. That does not matter who you are.
Yeah.
There's going to be a process. Just because you say you want to start a team or
you have the money.
You have the money, which has been one of the things in the previous years. Oh, you have the money. Hey, here, get your uniforms, get all this, have a good day, give us your money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what it's about anymore at this point. There will be an email, obviously. I can tell you right now, not all the teams from this year will be returning. That's just flat out, period. It is what it is. There's some of those, there's no discussion that'll come up on that. Some of them, obviously, depending, some teams are on the bubble.
Yeah.
There will be an email that'll go out here probably in a couple weeks because we will be, I'll just kind of say it now. After tonight, we are officially on
off-season break.
Do not reach out to the league page because you will not get a response. Do not reach out to myself personally, Matt. Obviously, we talked about it. Don't reach out to Raph.
You're getting an auto response from me.
You will not get a response for the rest of the month. Obviously, we'll start up again in July, probably after the July 4th weekend.
July 6th was the official.
So, yeah, July 6th is when we will be back to rolling.
Yep. I think the 5th is the official work holiday on the Monday and then Tuesday. And then I told the owners that. The only thing I think we are going to continue to monitor is the Calzona thing.
Correct.
If anything does happen with that,
that would be the only thing. Outside of that, we won't be responding. Nothing personal.
Yep.
But I know, I've talked to Matt. Raph says he's going to respond, but it's going to be in all gifts. I personally am just not going to respond.
Yeah.
So no disrespect. Take it how you want it. It is what it is. I don't care. I enjoyed being out there all season, but I want to enjoy some time to relax because I know once we hit July, we're going to hit the ground running.
Yep.
And kind of go from there. But to kind of go back to the teams thing, there's going to be an email that's going to go out to the teams from this season, and you will either be on the email, hey, appreciate you for this year. No hard feelings, but you will not be invited back next year.
Yep.
Sorry. There'll be more to that email, but that'll be the that's in essence the main pieces.
And to clarify that, we're talking about the team's owners.
Team owners, correct. Not the player pages and things like that. It'll be out to the owners. If you're on one of those
teams that perhaps doesn't come back, that doesn't mean you're not
going to be allowed to come back. Correct.
You have to go find another team to get on.
If you want to play continued in the league, obviously.
And we'll get into all those details in July. There's still going to be a lot of stuff happening with the owners in July. I don't think official team announcements will happen until September.
Correct.
So if it doesn't happen on the league page, the league website, or come from this show, I don't care what your owner's telling you, they're not in the league.
100% correct. You beat me to it. That was where I was going with it.
I know there's some owners, we're coming back. No. That right now the league has, in my opinion, and it's going to be barely blunt, there's 0 teams.
Yeah, we have 0 teams.
We have one, the Rebels, because they got a free entry.
Well, yeah, obviously coming back. Obviously.
We have one team.
Correct.
If they want to come back. So.
But looking into that, obviously, with that being said, kind of like I've been saying, kind of we've been going, and I've kind of been a little bit more vocal about this. Matt's said it, Raph has said it, but it's at this point, I'm not here to make friends. No disrespect, and obviously I can't speak for Matt. Matt can obviously say his piece right now at this point. But I'm here to run a business. I'm here to help make it better, with everything we've got going on. Matt, I'll let you take that, and then I'll get back to kind of what I was going with.
My mentor told me years ago that after 3 years, if you're not making money, it's just a hobby. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is an expensive hobby that I haven't got too much enjoyment out of versus jet skiing, working on my hot rod, driving the slingshot around, things like that. I have fun just watching the games. But with all the stuff that comes with it, we don't get paid. I said that from day one. Go find the second video in the video section of the Facebook page and watch that hour and 45-minute video. Those of you new guys that want to know what the league's like, I said it from day one. This is a business for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's an enjoyment business, but if I'm doing it as a business, we're going to make money.
Yep.
And that's where I'm going with the teams.
Correct.
It's not a hobby for them no more. It's now we're doing a business, guys. You're gonna make it's, and I think the players like they take that the wrong way. Like if you look at the NFL, right? Yeah, they get paid, but look at all the stuff they get. You guys saw a little bit of it last night. Championship towels, shirts, those awards that we got, the MVPs. Those weren't cheap.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Those were all
it wasn't
custom
free.
made. Yeah, it wasn't. I just didn't snap my fingers and that shit appeared, right? So there's some levels to this, and some people, like I said, they're not going to get it, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. That's
100%.
Some of the owners aren't going to want to do it. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Like I said, I've accepted the fact of who's coming, great, and who doesn't, great. I'm okay with it. Like I've said, I've had my internal peace. The anxiety's gone, and we'll go from there.
Correct. And that kind of goes, I mean, Raph hit the nail on the head. We want it to be competitive, not inclusive. Just because we're friends, right? Like, obviously, don't get me wrong, like, we can be friends outside of this.
Yep.
You know, like, I have no problem with some of you guys. And obviously, at the end of the day, I don't make all those decisions, right? It's a decision that obviously the league, the board, and, you know, obviously that stuff will make. But kind of like I've said from day one, like, I'm not here to make friends in it, like I said, from a business perspective. Now, from those business relationships, obviously we build from there. But
I've got some great friendships out of this league, starting as the business side of it. I talked about Ed Love, like we started as a business interaction. Derek and Amy, business action. Aaron, Dietrich, like those have grown into other things. We're going to talk about those in a minute, but just, hey, I'm taking the league in a different direction, and I know there's at least 8 teams that are 100% on board, and they're just waiting for me to give them the details so we can iron it out. And in those other spots, it's going to be, you know, some guys are going to have to make some tough decisions, you know, and I respect that. If they decide they don't want to put in all this extra stuff we're trying to do, that's fine.
That's kind of like
the Arizona Alliance is waiting for.
I was gonna say, and that's kind of like what we've talked about. I mean, obviously, once again, I don't speak for you, but that's one of the things that we've talked about. I mean, at the end of the day, we put everything together. If teams decide, you know, let's just say we got 2 teams that are interested. Okay, that's fine. We can obviously potentially fold up shop and hey, we go a different route, you know, and go play in one of these other leagues. Completely fine. Yeah, like that's what I think a lot of these guys miss, and it's not to sound cocky or it's not to come off the wrong way, so I don't want guys to take it the wrong way, but like we're going in a different direction than what we've gone in the past. And
I think our last announcement's it'll all come together.
Well, yeah, and we'll talk through that, and obviously like that's one of the things that, you know, it's gonna be, you know, we want to be that separating factor. You know, the one thing that I keep hearing is, you know, from a lot of guys that have played out of state or played different places, you know, and not even to try to sound cocky, because once again, it's not cocky, but a lot of these guys say that we have the best, if not one of the best, semi-pro leagues that they've been a part of, from top to bottom, just in terms of all the things that are offered, different things like that. And that's obviously what we want to shoot for. But that's not just the end-all, be-all of that. Yeah. Like, we don't want to just be, hey, Arizona's best semi-pro football league, right? Like, we want to do more. We talk about getting players other places. We want to talk about all these different things, but it starts at that piece where we have to get to the point where we actually can do things and have the things that we want to talk about doing. So
and Derek from the Phantoms, I used to want to have the biggest league in the state, right? That was our initial goal. He used to tell me, no, Matt, the best league.
Correct.
And I eat those words every time. Anytime I bring it up, I give him all the credit for kind of changing my perspective and showing and love to him and props to Derek for being patient, for letting me take the time to really realize that. Yeah. And once I realized it, that's been the mission. Yep. So if we don't have any other announcements and things, let's get right into the next one. You do?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, and obviously, so we've talked about the teams that won't be potentially, well, not teams that won't be back, but we've talked about that. Obviously, on the flip side of that, there'll be teams that'll be invited, obviously, back to have discussions and kind of see what that business model looks like and stuff like that. So that'll go out as well, you know, to the team owners you know, that are a part of that as well. And we'll go from there. So obviously more to come on that. You know, once again, no disrespect if you're not on that list. It's not personal, it's business.
Yep.
So,
all right, we'll take a quick commercial break.
Yep.
And we're back. Oh, I got goosebumps. Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is, guys. So, yeah, I'm waiting for them to process it for a second. So if you guys weren't paying attention, we signed a lease for our new facility being built in Mesa. A lot of people thought I was BSing them. Oh, you've been talking about it, showing us pictures. There's actual aerial footage right there, drone footage of the facility. If you want to go look at it, it's right off the 24 in Ellsworth. Can't miss it. Signs everywhere. Legacy Sports Park coming 2022. Yeah. So we're moving from the high school fields. I wouldn't say all of our games because we don't know how many teams are coming.
Correct.
Majority of our games will be housed in that place. And that's what makes me excited, man. Like that was one of my ultimate goals with the Spartans, was to have our own facility. And we're working on fulfilling that ultimate goal, because I recognize when we went to the league that that's the only way to make it work. Got to make the league higher. Like, elevate everything.
I want you to replay the video.
Want to replay the video,
Yeah,
guys?
we'll play the video one more time. Do not blink. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Watch the video. We're only doing it one more time.
Oh, I think it, yeah. Enough of that thing. You guys don't understand.
Might have to run it one more time.
What?
Might have to run it one more time.
One more time. We will.
Right now.
Oh.
Right now. But I don't think we're on right now.
You're not on. I am.
Oh.
Sorry.
Appreciate you.
The worst part is I drive by it like almost
And you see it all the time,
every
right?
day. Yeah. But yeah, what I was saying was, if you guys don't believe me, you guys can go ahead and drive out there tomorrow. I think we asked Legacy to hold off on the announcement till we made ours tonight.
Yep.
So you'll start seeing our stuff on their website.
Zach mentioned an article coming soon.
Yep.
So,
oh man, Zach.
yeah.
So if anybody's followed the CFL and been around the whole time, I think Zach did our very first article. We met with Legacy. I don't think I announced the company or the business back then when he did the first article. And that's not even the master plan. That's the part I don't think anybody really understands.
Mm-hmm.
We have a $5 million dome football I've been designing for a year now.
Yep.
So we may not even be in this facility next year. We may be in a better one. So
this is the start.
I
mean, it's one of the things, guys. This, and not, like I said, once again, this is not a cocky, because I know people will take this as this is a cocky thing. And once again, no disrespect to anybody out there, but these are the things that when we kind of talk about a business model of things, that we're trying to change. Zach said, "Is that why Legacy didn't get back to me this week? Because you had them wait?"
Yep.
Yeah, something like that, sir.
Something like that, man.
Something like that. It's like two and a possible. But no, guys, like in all seriousness, like these are the things that when we talk about, people have heard the rumblings of the stadium. That's stuff that is truly, like, it's in the works. But it's things like this where, there's nothing wrong with, at the end of the day, like, there's nothing wrong with playing at the high school. Like, some of these schools, like Yonker, obviously, nice high school, obviously the internet issue, we can work on that, right? But, like, great field out there. The things that we're trying to upgrade to where you guys have seen it, like in past years, we've played at different high schools, and just to be, 100% honest, the field is shitty. It's a place to play, right? Mm-hmm. But we might as well potentially, it's in essence, some of these are parks that we're playing at, just it's a school, just being 100% honest and being blunt, so with stuff like that.
And I'll go into details once you're done.
Just stuff like that. But those guys, these are the things that we're talking about where, with a facility like that, we talk about things like, the locker room smelling like weed or trash, or you name it, like different things like that, right? And I'm just using those as a couple of examples. When we start to move into these other facilities and do different things, it's not going to fly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not going to fly, period.
So we talked about the jerseys.
Correct.
Some of you a-holes were having issues understanding you got to have your jersey on. That's conditioning you for the facility where they don't know you. You're not friends with Rob or the doorman at the thing. You're not on the list. You don't have the right credentials, they call it. You're not coming in. We don't care if you paid $1 million to play in the league. They don't care.
Correct.
They have their own security, their own checkpoints. That's the dad speech part of it. I don't want to dwell on the negative sides.
Yeah.
The positive sides is it's a 5,000 or 5,500 seat arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's got state-of-the-art sound system, hardwired internet, audio systems in the press box. It's got a LED scoreboard. You kind of saw it on the video there. The exact positioning may change a little bit. There's still some stuff we're working through with them. There's locker rooms, restaurants. Best part, there's a beer garden.
I was just about to say there's a beer garden. So for
Gentlemen,
you guys
so
that
you
like
guys
to drink,
are friends. You don't have to sneak your shit in anymore, Fluker. All right? I'm not an idiot. You guys, I'm not stupid. I ran a strip club for 3 years. I know exactly what you're sneaking. You guys don't have to do that anymore. You literally can go sit in the end zone, play 10 o'clock, be done at 1, grab lunch, drink a beer, watch the 4 o'clock game, go home. But the point is, my focus this offseason is the marketing of all the teams, the branding of all the teams. I want to grow our league to where when people come to Legacy Park on a Saturday to watch their kids play soccer at 8 in the morning, they know there's a game coming on at 1.
correct.
So guess what, guys? You're going to have fans that you don't even know who they are. Yeah. And that's comes back to what we were just talking about. They don't want to root for someone that's yelling at their players and cussing them out, saying the N-word from the locker room all the way out to the front of the stadium and then spend an half hour debating something they could have debated in the car. You know what I mean? Like, there's as Ro likes to say, there's levels to this. So eventually some of you are not going to fit in the level that I want us to be in.
Well, one of the things I think about, obviously, like we talk about that, and we've talked about it even just with what we're doing now. You never know who's going to be in the stands or who might show up or who might hear about things.
Yep.
You figure with what we do for the most part, you have a community of people that, obviously you have the teams, you have the fans that support them, but it's for the most part, we are, we've talked about this for years, at least ever since I've ever been around. It's never gotten bigger than what it is at this point. Like I said, you have the teams, you have the fans that support those teams. But one thing that we're trying to shoot for is obviously get those. You never know who might come, who might be out there with their kids potentially. Obviously, I mean, there's like 50 different fields out there or something like that.
So the park itself, Zach might get into a little more on his article, but there's 32 multi-purpose fields.
Okay, so yeah,
soccer, football, flag, lacrosse. There's 12 baseball diamonds. I think there's 6 softball diamonds. They have a pickle. I think there's 35 or 40 pickleball courts, whatever the hell that is. I don't know. That's an old person sport. There's an e-arena, sports arena, where they're having big, Madden tournaments and, 2K, whatever.
That's the one that I heard about. I was like, well, I can't wait for that Madden tournaments, boy.
And then they've got just like a volleyball, basketball courts. So right now, I think they're fully booked for 3 years when it comes to tournaments
Different
and
things
like that. Guys, there's going to be 8,000 to 15,000 people walking to this facility on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Can you imagine if we just got 1% of that? Or
you figure Andy
10%?
hit the nail on the head. Statewide recognition.
Yeah.
You never know where somebody's going to be coming out to watch. And
Statewide. We're talking countrywide.
Yeah.
Like, my daughter's in her gym signed on as a tenant there, and they're now directing the cheer. Just a side note for you guys. They're talking about moving the Florida event that has 800 teams that compete in a weekend to this facility.
Yeah.
So we talked to Tui and Scotty for 3 hours.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, yeah.
And we showed them a lot of, not everything, but the bigger picture, and they were just blown away. So for the impatient people, there's an ultimate goal. I did talk about surprise beginning of the season. That's still on the table.
Yeah.
Our funding didn't come through like we thought, so we had to start all over. But we may be playing in a $5 million dome air-conditioned stadium in 2023.
Yeah.
Like, we have a meeting next week with another potential investor. So we signed a season with Legacy. I know they're super into us being there. They want a long-term lease, but I'm not really sure where we're going. But we'll give it 1 year. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I just the potential of us having just the visibility.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you guys, many of you are soccer dads.
Well, no, it's funny. It's funny you said it because Tony Smith actually just said, I think my son's Arsenal soccer team will be playing there.
Correct.
I was going to say Arsenal's one of the first to partner. I'd heard about that.
They were one of the first to do it. I know there's a youth football camp or a league coming out of Texas. Sean's part of that group, the Stampede Sean. So we have youth kids going to be coming to play their tournaments on Saturdays and flag, and they're going to come see you guys. So we're going potentially from just playing at Cortez High School with 50 fans to 500-600 fans that don't know you.
Yep.
And the last thing I want them to do is to go tell their parents that keep your kids away from the stadium on these days because these grown men are acting like children.
Yep. So I mean, like I said, that's one thing, guys. Like I said, we're getting there. It's stuff where that's one of the things when Matt talked to me about coming into the league. He kind of talked to me about some of the different things, and I'll be honest. At first, I was like, hey, we're friends. But I was like, I need to see it because I've heard about different things, not where leagues have tried to do this, but I've heard things where people are like, oh, we'll do this and we'll do that, and it never follows through, And one of the things, obviously, that kept me around, and obviously I see the bigger vision, and I see things, and I see it start to come in. But the long story short of that, guys, is just things are coming down the pipeline. Now it's just a matter of continuing to provide, the right the right things and do the right things to continue to grow this. Because in the snap, like that, it could all be gone too, depending on obviously what happens.
We could take the month off and decide we don't want to come back.
I mean, so.
But
yeah,
the ultimate goal, I'm sure some people, the naysayers, they're just trying to get money. The ultimate goal is to make enough money off the fans and the environment to where you don't have to pay to be here.
Yep.
The teams own the equipment. They loan it to you for the season, or it's part of your team package, which is $25 because we got to charge you something for the college guys to stay eligible. But imagine if you got all that Rebel stuff that we've seen all season, 7, 8, I think they have a different uniform every week, but 4 or 5 different uniforms, a couple different helmet concepts, bags, all that stuff, and your team fee's $25.
Yep.
Guys, it's got to get paid from somewhere. So that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like that, he hit the nail on the head with that. Anthony said, if other grown men can't handle that little amount of responsibility, then the league should start doing some bans. So, stuff like that, or things that, obviously will be looked into.
I think I used an analogy with Scotty that even though you're a customer at McDonald's, you can't go shit on their table and expect them to keep giving you food. You know what I mean? Like, yes, they're our customer. Yes, they're part of how the revenue stream works, but I can refuse to service you, in a sense. I don't think I'll officially ban anybody, but I do know there'll be some very high list of restrictions for certain people. But I don't want to get into that.
We'll talk more on that later. But guys, this is just the long story short of all of that. Yeah. Is this is things that we're actually doing.
We'll end on a good note. We got the video out. I think the video goes live. I think at 8:30. It's on the Facebook page. Yep. You can go watch it a million times, share it wherever you want. With the stadium comes a couple more business avenues that we're going to expand on, and this is real quick
before we get to that. I think we missed the ref coach player training.
We did. My bad. I was so excited to do the thing, I missed it.
Sorry. All right. Coming back real quick, guys, because I know we bookmarked that other
so let's get back to
comment.
We'll do the refs thing. We'll do the stadium video again, so everybody.
All right, one more time for anybody that might have.
I'm sure they're sharing and this, that, and the other. So we heard you guys on the refs. I know there was some compliments yesterday more than complaints, but what we're doing this off season, Alex and I have already talked about it. I've talked to Merle, the NFL guy. Like, we're gonna start putting. I say we. The collective group is going to start putting together film breakdown of why certain plays got called a certain way. Basically training videos that we're going to put out probably every other week, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And we're going to break down film from a referee standpoint and how the rules applied so we can all get on the same page. The second part of that is it's going to be mandatory that if you're a player in the CFL, you have to go to a Saturday 4-hour training. Like the owners, we have a little 4-hour meeting, but they're going to break down some key points for the players. And I think, and I'm hoping that bridges the gap. But the bottom line is, you players got to keep your mouth shut. I think we talked about that. everything I've seen, it really starts with you guys.
Well, I think one of the
let
things,
the coaches complain. Let them be the bitching.
one thing, and I mean, like I said, they brought it up. He brought up a great point. Was one of the things that, we talked about. And we've talked about obviously the improvements we're looking at field. We're looking at this. We're looking at that. Obviously we heard the referee stuff all season, right? But I think one thing that I didn't hear, what's it called? One of the things that we think about there is I didn't hear as many complaints yesterday about the refs. I got a lot of compliments about the refs, and I think part of that was, and that's something that, like we talked about, we were implementing.
That was the best of the best of the
best.
Well,
but that's kind of where I'm going with it. That's one of the things that we were. That's kind of what we were implementing. Obviously, like we talk about the different quality of refs, and different stuff like that, and. Some of the things that we've experimented, obviously, with, we did it during the playoffs, was having the extra guys, out there to be able to, like, rather than a coach yelling at the head ref or, the white hat or whatever. Well, now there's a guy on each sideline potentially, right? Or do we potentially add more? Like, there's a lot of stuff that we'll look at with that. But one thing you guys can kind of see, with one of the things that we are looking to do is obviously improving that, as well.
And we talked about that, adding test running the playoffs, and I hate to say the playoff test run, but adding those extra components to see how it would work next year and what it would cost. Does it work? Does it not work? So, yeah. So,
but needless to say with that, I mean, that's something that obviously that'll be discussed moving forward as well to see. I personally, obviously, I think it went well with that. And I think we had a lot less issues with having those extra guys out there. Obviously, there's an extra cost, obviously, with that. You had an extra buyer, there's an extra cost.
Yep.
That's obviously just being transparent with it as well. But with stuff like that, that's things where we talk about making things better and looking into different avenues of ways we can do different things. That's one of the things that we've looked into.
And I think to fix that with the refs is we gotta get them in. The player captains, the coaches in the room and talk through a lot of stuff.
And understand it, even though you may not agree with it, call-wise.
And me being revamped top to bottom, I may make adjustments on who is in charge of the refs.
Correct.
We may, regardless of who owns companies, we may have to say, hey, listen, we're moving to this different manager now, or we're going to do it this process now. But speaking of transparency, we showed Tui and Scotty the invoice for the refs, and I think they about shit themselves. They were just blown away at how much it costs. And and when I break it down for people, the NFL guy gets $6,000 a game, $6,000 a game to play in the NFL. Don't quote me on this, but I think he does our games for free. I have to double check that, but I think because his contract and stuff, he can't technically get paid. But I don't get into the nitty gritty. But the point is, he's doing it to help the other guys. And I think that's the flip side. We have to understand it as we're not professionals. Players aren't professionals. The refs are still trying to get to the next level too. So, but overall, I think it went great. I think having the ref on the sideline to explain stuff so it doesn't take away from the game gives that coach a chance to step back and just have a conversation versus trying to call the plays and all that. So there's some stuff we're working on.
Yeah, so that kind of, like I said, I wanted to make sure we touch on that with the refs, the coach, the player training, different things. It's something that obviously we'll come back and review, as we kind of move through the off season, once July gets around and kind of go from there. So
cool. We'll end on the video. Let's get into the last two little items. So obviously you guys have seen CMX around, Cactus Media X. That's the media company that Raph and I started with a couple other people. We're going to be transitioning all of our media over to them after this season. So it'll essentially be its own company. Raph and I will still manage and run that from an executive level, but we won't have necessarily...
What is it? Shout out Cactus Media, right?
Cactus Media. Yeah. So that's kind of where Zach's going to come into play a little bit with the branding and media and kind of help us navigate that. So there's a lot of stuff in work there, but the one that I'm really excited about... Actually, I'm going to finish on Cactus Media X. We're going to get this internet thing figured out. Yep. That's one of my top 3 bullet points this offseason is to get the hotspot internet figured out. If we do have to go out of legacy, how do we accomplish streaming our games, doing that, fulfilling our commitments without having to fully rely on the school? So, guys, I got some emails. Shout out, I think his name's Jared or Jason. I have to go back and look. It was a player I talked to from the Outlaws. That's what his company does.
Jaden.
Yep. Sorry, but I butchered your name. My apologies.
I got your back.
First time I ever talked to him, and he, but I appreciate the insight. So I'm going to look into that when we get back in July. We'll work on that for sure. But I know for Legacy, Hardwired, that thing's, I think that football soccer stadium, I think is $2 million total, they told me. But we're already working on that. I think CMX is in the process of signing a contract with the Youth League 2 to broadcast their games. I think we're doing the women's tackle team in a couple of weeks.
I've heard,
Next
yeah.
weekend
I'm not sure if they... I'm
still
not
working
sure
on the
at that
details,
point, but yeah, I know that was something that we looked at.
So Cactus Media X, guys, is going to really be pushing just the media, and Dwight's been a huge asset to that. I'm in talks with a couple other graphics guys, not to replace Dwight by any means, but he's not going to be able to handle the workload that we're going to start pushing. So look forward to that. And then the last item, obviously, Cactus Fuel. This is something that we started with. We started this... Raph can probably tell me, I think it was maybe August. We didn't get it accomplished before the season. So Cactus Fuel is going to be our Gatorade. So we're going to be working on various flavors, sponsorships. We already have some brand ambassadors that we've met with. Kind of did a premature launch, and that was my fault. I got ahead of myself, and we just couldn't get it finalized before the season. So this is another bullet point. This is what Raph's going to be kind of working on. I wouldn't say full-time on it, but he's going to be kind of headstreaming that with the other investment group that we started. And, so those players, like you talked about, there's a lot of things happening, not just with let's go play football today. So, yeah, look forward to Cactus Fuel. I think we'll do I think we got the formulator coming in a couple weeks. So, yeah.
Be good.
So, yeah, any other comments we didn't address?
Zach said his first order of business if he joins the league and helps with media stuff is changing Commiss to Commish.
Commish, well.
I think we can
I think we
could
talked
do,
about that.
I think we can,
We'll just call it CC.
I think we could do that. Raph that grape drink.
That grape drink. He wants the purple drink.
Yeah, that purple drink. But no, yeah, I've been looking forward to this. So the Cactus Fuel will definitely be good.
That's gonna be huge. That's gonna be something every team and every player is gonna have some sort of not say input, but be part of.
Yeah, some sort of something in there.
The teams and have on the sidelines and photo shoots and things like that.
Hutch said he already signed a contract with Cactus Fuel.
When?
I don't know. He just Hutch and Cactus Fuel and shook hands. So.
I thought it was Lay's, bro.
No, so that's what he said. He said, I need to be an ambassador. You've seen what I did for Lay's. So
no, what I did for Lay's.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have these Lay's chips. But
no. I was going to say, Hutch, technically Matt started that piece of it, and then obviously you ran with it, which is good.
Well, that just shows his
you took over there, yeah.
Like he saw it and was like, hey, I got to capitalize on that.
Yeah, you took over there, so Matt's more than happy to pass that off for you.
Yes.
So,
cool.
But no, man, I know it's been a lot of stuff we kind of went over. It was fun. Obviously we'll kind of continue to talk through stuff. We'll get together once a month, like we kind of talked about.
I think it'll be to do a Commish Corner, at least once a month or maybe every other week as we get closer into the October, and we have the meetings with the owners, and that's something that we're going to talk about is transparency, but also disclosure. There's a lot of stuff that the owners talk about in the groups that gets leaked out that I don't like, and I don't want to be harping, and that's one of those things we're looking at, like which owners actually handle it in the owners group and which ones run and tell their team right away. Some of this stuff, like I said, it's evolving. Like every meeting, it's changing. It doesn't happen, and then the players they're lost because it's changed every week. So
yeah.
But cool. I'm excited for the stadium, man.
It's gonna be good. I mean, like I said, I'm excited for the off season. Like I said, debating on whether or not I get rid of my social media. I haven't decided yet because I enjoy seeing all the team stuff, and guys and all that stuff. So I don't know. We'll see, but I know that as much as I'm gonna miss being out there, I'm gonna enjoy getting some of my Saturdays back.
Yeah.
Be able to just relax, not be out there in the heat. And all that stuff. But
pushing it back 2 weeks, I'm glad we were able to fulfill our commitment. But yeah, I don't want another season, another championship on June 5th or whatever it was. That was miserable yesterday.
Yeah,
it was horrible.
Obviously, we'll see what happens moving forward with that. I know we have the the Calzona. We'll see what happens with that. Obviously, we'll provide poor updates potentially.
I forgot to put it on here. So the Tucson team, we are in talks with Keno facility down there, which is essentially, it's already built. That's where the Sugar Skulls practice. They have something very similar to what Legacy's built. So that is my summer project with a couple people at the city down there to get us outlined with that, because I want, if we go from Phoenix to travel to Tucson, I want the same exact game environment.
Yep.
So those of you guys in Tucson, you're not getting left in the dark, contrary to what some of your owners like to tell you. You know, we're working on getting hopefully the same exact facility set up. I know that has a beer. I think it has a beer stand, or like a concessions. Not so much a.
Is that a beer stand?
Like a
concession stand. Yes, sir.
But not like a full on garden, like end zone. But I know they have locker rooms and press. Like it's pretty legit down there. So.
Yeah, more to come with that. Yeah. Obviously, we'll kind of see how that all plays out and go from there. Yeah. And
but Legacy's locked in, man. I signed the lease actually back in February. So.
Looking forward to it, man. I know it's we'll see, but kind of to go back to what we talked about before, the league office is literally closed here in the next.
As soon as we sign off.
As soon as we're signed off here, please do not reach out to the league. We are officially closed for business.
I said that to the owners. You guys can message me, but I can't guarantee you when I'll be back. I'll get back to you.
We will get back to you. Obviously, at our earliest convenience in July. So please do not reach out. And I mean that in the most respectful manner.
Yes.
But,
all right, guys. Appreciate the great season, man. Love all the love that players are giving us. So you haters, just keep on hating, because that's all it does is motivate me. Once I got past the emotional side of it, yeah, you're really going to hate me when the rest of our plan comes to action over the next 12 months.
Hey, well, I'm looking forward to it. So, fellas, it's been good. Obviously, see y'all in July, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, one last time, we'll let you guys look at the stadium, and I think the video goes live.
Yeah, it's already live right now.
It might have already went live, so have a good one, guys. See you in July.